Time to pick some words. Let me see. Little P. Licensing. I'm trying to get things that will let me read Ashley's stuff. Preparation. Bureaucracy will give me a scroll. Let's do philosophers. Let's do gremlin. And where are these over here? Microwave, eloquent, and practice. Verisimilitude, sticks, old man. I just want to do AC/DC just to see who comes out of that. Che. Food. Melbourne. Ashley. The terminal. Lore. Lore is one of the things that I needed. Gremlin. Okay, so I have a lot of Ashley's, and I have one lore, which will get me at least one of Ashley's things. Goodness. Beth 3. Sometimes I just sit. I'm gonna look around. Now that I know those are there, there's usually 3 in each room from what I've found. Aha! Judgment 2. Have I found Judgment 1? I don't actually remember. Who wants to live forever? Espresso machine's acting up again. Maddie sighed. Why does it have to be like this? It doesn't have to be like this, said Shay. You're right, said Maddie. It wasn't always like this. If you travel back in time far enough, you'll find an era when we had a working espresso machine. And if you travel even further back, you'll get to a time when espresso machines didn't exist, said Shay. Maddie reached below the counter for the bottle of Chardonnay she had opened that morning. It was half empty. Is this the prelude to one of those moments where an old man tells me about how lucky we are to have things so easy? Nah, said Shay. Things aren't easier. In fact, they're harder. That's why you need all of the modern technology to help deal with them. Shay nodded to the wine bottle in Maddie's hand. So you're going to offer me some of that, or you're just going to keep squeezing its neck like you're trying to choke it? Maddie began pouring a drink for Che. So what were things like back in the old days? Well, for one thing, we did need glasses back then. Glasses are not a new invention, old man. I've seen pictures of Benjamin Franklin. Well, yeah, we had glasses back then, but we didn't use them. We drank straight from the bottle. Har, har. No, really. Glasses are just one more thing to keep track of. One more thing to clean. It's just easier to pass a bottle back and forth. That may be the case, said Maddie, but I'm sure our patrons appreciate the extra effort that goes into making sure they're always drinking from clean glasses. I'm sure they do, said Shay. That's another thing that's changed. Everyone's a connoisseur of whatever they're drinking. Is that you finger-wagging about how young people all have particular tastes? No, said Shay. At least I don't think it is. I guess people are all enjoying the present moment more. Back when we drank sock juice, you were just doing whatever it took to get that stimulant into your blood system. Ditto for most depressants. Do I want to know what sock juice is? Said Maddie. Because I'm fairly certain I don't. We didn't have coffee filters back then, said Shay. So you'd use a sock instead. Don't worry, we always used clean socks whenever they were available. Maddie closed her eyes, looking physically ill. You were saying something about people enjoying the present moment before that thoroughly awful digression about how you made coffee. Yeah, said Shay. I know there's this stereotype about how in modern society no one is ever really present, but if anything, I feel like it's the other way around. Nowadays, people are all about enjoying the present moment. People used to be way more obsessed with where they were going. As in, where they were migrating to? In a matter of speaking, said Shay. Let's just say that I'm amazed how few people these days come in here asking questions about heaven and hell. 100 years ago, if you caught someone on their way out of this world, the first thing they wanted to know was, which place is this? And after they found out they were on a temporary stop to the next place, they'd want to know where it was they were going. There's still plenty of that, said Maddie. Yeah, but a lot less of it, said Shay. And you know, I don't think it was a case of people's priorities suddenly changing once they found themselves standing on the precipice. There were people who used to describe themselves as God-fearing. It was just a part of life. And now it's not. He shrugged. I guess people found more important things to worry about. There wasn't a lot going on back then. He took a sip of Chardonnay. Good thing I'm gonna live forever. Worried you'd go to hell? Hell yes, said Shay. I've done way too much sinning to ever make it into heaven. You've done more good than ill for the world, said Maddie. I'm pretty sure that balances it out. You probably have a positive balance. Nah, said Shay. I don't think it works like that. I'm pretty sure I'm just a bad person who happens to do good things most of the time. It's an interesting concept. Well, it might not be good enough for heaven, but it's good enough for me, said Maddie. So I guess it's a good thing that you're going to live forever. Okay, here's what I want to do. I want to go up and I want to read that other Ashley's invention. I need it. I need it so badly. So we're going to go up here. I like how the whole building is slowly opening up to us. Yes, this is what I wanted. Ashley's Inventions 2. Blump. I need to take a drink because this is going to be a fast read. Okay. Ashley's original ideas. Do not steal. Floor sweeper. My last experiment with the kitchen assistant version 1 was a big success if you measure success in how quickly it was able to pulverize things generally. The throwing objects at the ceiling technique does not work for pulverizing carrots or celery for salads, but it is very good at pulverizing halogen lamp bulbs. This made me think about how much better it would be if all of the floors were self-cleaning. Ashlings can sweep... I really love the term ashlings for like all of the things that she makes. Ashlings can sweep up a bit, but usually all they do is move dust around, and it's hard to get them to actually collect debris and put it in the trash. If the entire floor were covered in air jets, any small bits of debris that dropped into the floor would get quickly whisked away toward a corner where a vacuum or something could suck them up into a disposal chute. Having a bunch of air jets would require a lot of power to run, but air isn't the only fluid that could be used to carry dirt and dust and broken shards of halogen lamp bulbs. Water could probably do the trick. The issue is that water would damage the floor. Ripping up the wooden floorboards and pouring concrete would also solve the problem. And we could mold the concrete in a way that it's shaped directly. Let me redo that. Ripping up the wooden floorboards and pouring concrete would solve that problem. And we could mold the concrete in a way that its shape directed the water toward a drain in the floor. That would mean no more need to sweep. We could just hose down the entire cafe at the end of the day and it would drain itself. Then it would be dry by morning. That's actually a really good idea that doesn't require any special equipment or specialized hardware once the floor is installed. I should copyright that idea and make sure nobody steals it. Update. After several days of calling the Australian Copyright Council, I finally talked to a person who told me that what I want to cover... Excuse me. I finally talked to a person who told me that what I want to cover inventions is a patent, not a copyright. After several more days of trying to contact the patent office, I was told someone already used my idea. I wonder if it's possible to sue someone for stealing your idea before you came up with it. It's pretty unfair that I'm not able to patent an idea just because I'm too young to have an idea before someone else claimed it. Previously, I discarded the idea of using a large electromagnet to retrieve the knife that was lodged in the ceiling. My research has led me to believe that the knife in the ceiling is actually stainless steel, which contains iron. Iron is ferromagnetic, which is weird because you'd think that only ferro would be ferromagnetic because I guess iron is too. Also, I was able to find a gas-powered generator that could supply the power to run an electromagnet for a short period of time, so I don't need to worry about the circuit breakers. It requires a lot of gas, but luckily getting the knife down only requires running the electromagnet for a short period of time. I created the electromagnet by spooling a power cable around a piece of iron. The good news is that the electromagnet is great at pulling knives from where they are. The bad news is that it pulled all of the knives from the drawers that were within a meter of it when I turned it on. Also, the knife in the ceiling wasn't affected because it was too far away. I looked it up, and magnetic attraction follows an inverse cube law. I'm not sure what the opposite of a cube is. Maybe it's a sphere? But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that objects further away aren't pulled as strongly by a magnet. The Beseecher 5000. After my lack of success with the knife retriever version 2, I asked Che for help, and he lifted me up so I was able to pull the knife from the ceiling. He asked how long it had been up there, and I said, not long, and he said, more than a day, and I said, oh, it wasn't up there for a day, which is technically true. I'm glad that asking Che for help succeeded, but I think in the future there needs to be a way to automate this process of asking Che for help. I think I need to create a robot with speech capabilities that is capable of asking for favors. Then I could have the robots ask for favors on my behalf. I think this is a good idea because usually when you ask someone for a favor, then you owe them a favor afterwards. But if it were a robot asking for the favor, then the robot would owe the favor, not you. Then the person would ask the robot to do them a favor, and the robot would say, sorry, I'm only capable of talking to people, not doing tasks. But then if the person asked the robot to ask you for a favor, the robot would say, I'm sorry, my battery is running low, and then it would self-destruct. It would be expensive to build a new robot every time you had to ask for another favor, but it would be better than having to owe someone a bunch of favors after they helped you. Oh, Ashley, you darling, darling young lady. Okay, now I want to read. Let me see if I can. Not that. This. Oh, fuck. I really, really want to be able to read these product reviews because I know it's going to be funny. Oh, Judgment 1. Aha, aha, aha. Oh, no, don't do that. Just dropping by for a moment while I prepare for bed. I sure do appreciate you dropping by. Sorry, I'm lubing up my instrument. Che sat in the corner of the cafe with the book in his lap. His eyes danced over the page for several moments, the words on the page illuminated by the candle that sat perched on the armrest of his chair. Then, after several moments passed, he turned the page. He hadn't actually internalized any of the text on the page, nor had he taken in any of the text on the 50 preceding pages. He was vaguely aware of the fact that the book kept on referring to a man named Henry, who Che presumed was the protagonist of the book he held in his lap, but beyond that, he knew little to nothing. Che didn't particularly mind this fact. In fact, he started actually following the story that was told in the pages of this. In fact, if he started actually following the story that was told in the pages of the book, he would consider it a great failure. Che enjoyed sitting down with a book, and he enjoyed the platonic ideal of reading, but when it came to telling stories, he found books to be a poor substitute for a person sitting next to him. He didn't pick up books when he wanted to be told a story. He picked up books when he wanted to be alone, to situate in a comfy chair and bask in candlelight and sit silently in a meditative state. He turned another page. "Hey," said a familiar voice, interrupting him. I'm in the middle of a book, Ned," said Che. "If you hadn't noticed." That was the book's secondary function. It deterred people who might see a man sitting alone and seize upon the opportunity to start a conversation when he was not in the mood for a conversation. "Is it a good book?" said Ned. "I was enjoying being alone with it," said Che. "Yeah, you look really engrossed. Sorry to interrupt, but I've got a favor to ask." "Why is it always to ask a favor?" said Che, looking past Ned and speaking to no one in particular, even though there was no one but Ned near enough to hear him speak. "Why is it never, 'Hey, Che, I just wanted to stop by to offer you a favor'?" "I did that one time," said Ned. "You said you were busy, which I figured was your way of politely saying, 'Please don't bother me with this kind of visit,' so I stopped." "Did you? I don't remember it." "I'm sure you do remember it," said Ned. "It was from back before you started forgetting things. Sometime around... When did the war start?" "You're going to have to be a lot more specific," said Che. "You know, the war with the soldiers and the guns." "Ah, that war," said Che. "I did narrow it down a bit, didn't I?" "I'm not that old," said Che. "Wars were fought with guns even when I was a young man. Same for you." "Did they? Well, it was the war with the, Ned trailed off. He raised a hand to his face and flicked his helmet, mimicking the unmistakable ping of an M1 Garand. "World War II? Which one was that?" "The one with the Nazis," said Che. That sounds about right," said Ned. "Anyway, I came to ask for a favor." "I hope that favor was spend a few minutes of your time having an inane conversation, but we already did that," said Che. "My, but you're snippy today," said Ned. "What's gotten into you?" Che held up the book. "A good book is what's gotten into me." "Sorry," said Ned. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't urgent." "I'm in need of an interpreter." "You speak Cantonese, right?" "Yes," said Che. "Great," said Ned. "Can I steal you for a few hours?" "Not if it's to be an interpreter," said Che. "Why not?" "You speak Cantonese and you seem fluent enough in English, so why would you say no specifically to translating?" "Being an interpreter is not as simple as being bilingual, Ned." "Isn't it? I figured you hear things in one language and say them in another. Seems simple to me." "Are you literate?" said Che. "A bit." "Can you write a work of great literature?" said Che. "Nope," said Ned. "Well, there you go," said Che. "There's more to translating than being bilingual." "Oh, come on," said Ned. "I'm in a pinch. I'm not asking you to be a great interpreter, just an adequate one." "There's lots of bilingual people around," said Che. "I'm sure you know other places to ask." "Yeah, but, I know you're not the kind of person to spill secrets," said Ned. "And it's the kind of conversation that I just want to be between me and one other person, you know?" "Great," said Che. "Sounds like you need a professional interpreter." "I hear they're great at facilitating those kinds of interactions." "Come on," said Ned. "What can a professional interpreter do that you can't?" "A lot of things," said Che. "But for one, a professional interpreter is someone you can count on to allow you to use their mouth to say incredibly stupid things without letting you or your counterparty know just how stupid they find the interaction. Funny that, said Ned. I always figured that's the kind of thing you'd be good at. Because I'm so good at holding my tongue? Yes. I've tried it before, said Shay, kicking up his feet. Being an interpreter pays well if you find yourself working for the right people, and it leaves your hands a lot less callous than some of the work I find myself doing instead. But you'll notice my hands have calluses. Turns out holding your tongue is oftentimes harder than digging holes. Come on, you know how to be a diplomat, said Ned. Fuck off, said Shay. There, that was me being undiplomatic. Now, would you kindly find another solution to your problem? One that doesn't involve me performing a task that I've told you at least twice now that I'm not going to do? Ned started to say something, but stopped just short of making an utterance and backed off. Hey, Maddie, Ned shouted. No, Maddie replied. I haven't even asked you for anything yet, said Ned. I know, I thought I would save you the time, said Maddie. Ned sighed. What is it with you people? Maddie turned toward Ned and glowered at him. You people? Ned raised his hands defensively. I didn't mean... Look, I just meant that you two, you're birds of a feather in quite a few ways. Maddie stared at him, and Ned contemplated whether there was any way for him to make a statement grouping Maddie and Che together without making himself look worse than he already did. He sighed in frustration. You know what your problem is? Yes, said Maddie. I know him quite well, and he's standing right in front of me. Aw. Just out of curiosity, I don't think this is the case, but I want to see if I can read The Fisherman too. No, I cannot. I need a Maddie. Alright, let me go back down. I think this requires a... Yes, okay. Let me go back down into the cellar. Whoop, nope, not that way. Here we go. It would be kind of cool if we came across the quantum hallways that they were talking about earlier in the story. Where is that? Here we go. Aha, sometimes I just sit. Che came down the stairs and noticed that Kishan was still seated at the counter, staring into a glass of something. It was a mixed drink of some kind, but it didn't look like coffee to Che. You mind company? Said Che, leaning on the seat next to Kishan. By all means, said Kishan. I don't see anyone else using that seat. Well, you might have been using it, said Che. As a buffer? I'm not looking for conversation, said Kishan, but I'm not really looking to avoid it either. That makes two of us, said Che. He leaned across the counter and reached down, locating a cup and a bottle purely by touch from a familiar nook in the bar. He poured himself a finger of whiskey, just enough to warm his tongue. Kishan continued staring into his own drink, his expression unwavering. Che shrugged and sampled his own drink, feeling the warmth of the drink as the whiskey spread across his tongue and trickled down his throat. He set the glass down. The next few moments passed in silence as Kishan continued staring into his own glass, and Che absently turned his empty glass on the counter. Kishan finally broke the silence. If you're waiting for me to finish off this drink so you can offer me some of whatever that is, you might be waiting a long time, said Kishan. I wouldn't offer you this, said Che. It's a special bottle, older than I am. Something like that ought to be kept in private, don't you think? Said Kishan. Che shrugged. I have no problem with letting people sample it if they want. This bottle has a way of never running empty. But a whiskey like this, you don't get it just by sitting there passively. You have to at least take the step of asking for it, because it only gives when people are expecting to get. If I offer, it won't work. It sounds like you have a bottle that's in the business of filling people's subconscious prophecies, said Kishan. That does seem to be the case, said Che. I try not to think about it. Bad juju. Juju? Is that a real thing here? As real as real a thing as real a thing here as it is anywhere, said Shay. Keyshawn looked contemplative for a moment. If oh no, wait, go back. Wait, what? Sounds like you have a bottle. If the bottle is in the business of fulfilling people's expectations, what happens if I expect you to pour me a drink and find the bottle empty? Don't, said Shay, cutting him off. Don't even get me thinking about it. Because if I start thinking about it, it might happen. I've got a good thing going here. Don't jinx it. All right, said Keyshawn. Sorry if I messed with your mojo, or juju, or whatever it is. I didn't mean to break anything. It's not as fragile as that, said Shay. This isn't the first time I've had this conversation. Just, why play with fire if you don't have to, you know? I think I will have some of that whiskey, said Keyshawn. Lord knows I'm not making any progress with this. He looked at the drink in front of him and pushed it aside. Shay smiled and reached behind the counter for another glass, pouring a single finger for Keyshawn. Keyshawn took a sip. That's smooth, he said. I know, said Shay. They don't make them like they used to. Well, I mean, they do, but they'll take a few more decades to get there. Keyshawn cleared his throat and started coughing. He pounded his chest with his fist and let out a wheeze before settling down. You all right? Said Shay. Yeah, I think I'm all right. Whatever rut Keyshawn had been in when he sat down, he seemed to be out of it by now. There was something about that dry whiskey that had a way of catching people's throats by surprise, and there was something about a coughing fit that had a way of getting butterflies out of the stomach. Maybe it wasn't much, but it was something. Chase smiled as he put away the bottle, giving it an affectionate pat as he set it down. One less case of postmortem depression in the world. Good job, Pappy. All right. Let us continue. And you should have seen this coming. This is on you. There's no question. You are a failure. The council's going to take the cafe away from you. And you should have seen this all coming. Episode 7, Ghost. Day 3, 7 a.m. This never gets old. You know, I wondered for a long time how I would feel if I never got old. And then I tried it out. And I got old anyway. There's probably a moral in that story somewhere. When did we ever have time for morals anyway? You're a hellion, you know that? It's weird to think that you used to just be a mild-mannered student. I was just better at biting my tongue. Ha. If anything, I just hope that I was able to make your life a little more interesting. We've had a pretty good run, mate. I don't want you to feel like I wasted my time on you, or that having you in my life hasn't been an absolute bloody privilege. Can we do this later? Of course. Reckon I see someone walking over. Can you get the machine ready? Yeah. Let's make some fucking coffee. Here you go. Again, sorry for the wait. Thanks. If it were anywhere else, I'd just not come back, but the beans. And I promise it won't happen again. Thanks for your patience. Mm. I, uh, how long was I staring at the wall? 15 minutes, by my reckoning. What the hell? I came inside from sweeping up the front and just saw you staring blankly into your mug while that customer was just standing there. They were being very patient. I have no idea how that happened. I feel terrible. It's no biggie. Like you told me the other day. Our roasts are iconic enough that we can afford to get away with stuff like that once in a while. Well, yeah, but the context of that conversation was when we just fought off dozens of ashlings that didn't believe us. When we told them they weren't stray pieces of cutlery. Yeah, we probably shouldn't let that happen again. Trust me, it's not on the agenda. But, like I was saying, people love this place. Even if they sometimes have to wait 15 minutes for the barista to stop hyper-focusing on her coffee. Yeah, I don't know. That isn't meant to happen. How long have you been awake? I think maybe 3 days? Good Lord. That's bad, yeah? I'm honestly amazed you're not seeing things. Oh, I'm hallucinating hardcore. No worries there. Also, I keep seeing faces in the coffee. They saying anything interesting? Nothing but echoes of my internal monologue. More espresso equals less depresso. Oh, shit. I'm sure it's a fun time. It's a blast. At least your hands don't need to be too steady to make coffee. See, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Shh. Anyway, speaking of coffee, you should make some. I'm already like 15 shots deep, man. I think I'll die if I have any more. No, Maddie, I'm saying you have a job to do. Sorry, I feel like you're trying to lead me into some sort of conclusion here, but for the customer right there, who I assume is wanting a coffee. Oh, shit! My bad. I haven't slept for... What can we get you? 1 latte, 1 soy, flat white. Sure thing. Feel free to take a seat. We'll bring them over. Man. Yep. 15 shots, though? Really? Because just saying, at some point, you're gonna hit a lethal dose. I have some insane tolerance happening here. I think. I hope. Right. Well, I respect your right to make a complete idiot out of yourself and die in the process. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. I can't believe everyone's gonna know me as the person who killed her boss in a botched necromancy attempt. You know? That's hella street rep right there. Council's gonna be too afraid of me to screw with me. I don't think they're too intimidated by you, fortunately. Damn it. Let's not worry about them for now, though. What should I worry about instead? Nothing? Buddy, I tried. Hey, actually, where's Ashley? She's sleeping upstairs. We're not going to get much out of her for a few hours at least. And Keyshawn's gone off somewhere in the terminal with Ned. They're around. Somewhere. Good that Ashley's getting some sleep, though. Imagine if you did that. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Uh-huh. But also, she's okay, right? Yep. Just needs some rest and maybe a few days of tapering off caffeine. Oh. She's gonna be cranky. As a mule. Well, I have that to look forward to. I'm sure it'll be plenty of fun. What can we what can we get you? What roast do you have today? Let me see. We've got your standards: espresso, Italian, city. No, I'm looking for something fancy. Fancy, you say? What do you have in mind? I don't know. Something new, different, special, artisanal. Psst, Maddie. What? In English, that word translates to artisanal. Thanks. Anytime, mate. We've got a pretty nice house roast that you might like. The beans are sourced from a faraway land, enchanted with subtle magics. What land? Tell me. They're from Brisbane. What else? I'll give you our secret blend if you stop holding up the line. Ah! I'll take it. Go sit down. I'll bring it over to you. What were you gonna give him? I was just gonna take a blowtorch to some espresso beans. Come on, Maddie. What? Don't be ridiculous. I don't know what you mean. I mean, that's a waste of time for you to do that when you've got people to serve. Ah. Be right back. Day 3, 10:45 a.m. God, you weren't kidding. This is awful. How were you able to drink that without your entire face crumbling into dust? It's so dry that it'd give Antarctica a run for its money. Antarctica is a desert, technically. Shut up. I find it drinkable because it reminds me of good times. What? It's thoroughly shithouse. It reminds me of lost loves. It's very worrying to me that this concentrated bin juice reminds you of a relationship. Welcome back. Oh, I've told you about her. Wait, you're not talking about... Yep, the fugitive. The one I took in for a few months. I thought you liked her. I did. The taste reminds me of her because it's smoky. Like licking a friggin' tailpipe, and has vague hints of iron. I have concerns, Che. Never thought I'd have a succubus drop by, to be honest. Wait, you never told me she was a succubus. Didn't I? Well, I suppose it would have been inappropriate to mention that in front of Ashley. Oh yeah, her head would definitely explode. But yes, she was a succubus. I wouldn't have ever expected a cute demon to crash at my bar, but ended up having a wonderful, if short-lived, relationship. You fell asleep again? Well, good. I'm glad you're getting some rest. That's actually really sweet. Heh. Yeah. Still weird that the coffee reminds you of her, but I've heard weirder things. If I explained it to you, your head would explode too. Well, you mentioned tailpipes. Well, that's my break time over. Time to get back to work running a cafe doing barista things. I'm gonna go perform some barista-related activities, and you are welcome to join me, I guess. I want to know more. Che. Don't forget to water the plants. Water them yourself. It's your job. Busy. Goodbye. You're so close to Cheer Squad. Hey. Achievement unlocked. Ghost. Are we seriously here just so we can be part of a robot fight club? For real? Is this why I was raised from the dead and sealed in a metal shell? Is that the only reason? Guys, I'm freaking out. Why aren't you saying anything? Guys. Heh, egg puns. Right? I should poach some of them. Seriously? Is this not a big deal to you? Nah. We only fight if we want to. And it's all in good fun. You're really endorsing capturing creatures and forcing them to fight one another? Uh-oh, Pokemon. Sure, why not? It's not like we really have the capacity to get injured or bleed. Ethics schmethics. Unbelievable. You two are unbelievable. Well, hi, Grendel. Hey, is that the sound of someone calling us? I think it might be. Duty calls and all that. Toodles! I like how the robot was crossing its little robot arms.